Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Commodore Connections on this beautiful Friday morning. We are so happy to have you joining us live. If you are joining us live, if you could go ahead and say hello in the comments. We see that Jesse has joined. Thank you for commenting, as well as Miss Kara and Sophie. We're glad that you guys joined us this morning. If you could just place in the comments if you're joining us, and then if you have any questions during the Facebook Live, if you'll place those in the comments, and we will do our best to answer those live as possible. Our special guest this morning is our president of the college, Dr. John Holdnack, and he's going to give his president's message, his weekly president's message. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Holdnack so he can give you a few updates on what's been happening at the college.
Hi, Commodores. This is an awfully strange way to communicate. I would much prefer to talk with you walking down the sidewalk or rolling down the sidewalk, as I often roll around on campus on a Segway. Campus is a little lonely right now. This is about as close as I've been to Katie in several weeks, and about as close as I've been to just about anybody in several weeks. I do keep my mask in my car so that anytime I'm any place other than in my office by myself or talking to you on camera, I'm wearing a mask. And I would encourage everybody that's paying attention to this or may go back and look at it later to make sure that you're following the CDC guidelines as well. Just remember 6 feet apart for now, and wear a mask when you're out in public, and try and stay in small groups. And we want to be healthy, and we want to put this event behind us as quickly as we can. I told Katie that the vice presidents were playing a trick on me this morning, on Monday morning, when they told me that it was a little slow on campus and they wanted to see if we could play an adult version of hide and seek. And they told me that if I would count to 1,000 while they hid, that I could then look for them and I'd win a special prize once I found them all. Well, it's now Friday and I still haven't found them all. I did see a video link to 2 of them. I'm pretty sure the backgrounds weren't on campus. And so I'm not sure. This is like playing Where's Waldo? Where in the world is Waldo? It's where in the world are the vice presidents? And I think at this point in time, they could be just about anywhere. We appreciate you sticking with us. You know, there are no students in the history of higher education in this country, or probably in the world, that have ever experienced a Category 5 hurricane and the aftermath of that, and a worldwide pandemic, and living through the aftermath of that, except here at Gulf Coast State College. Maybe Panama City, Florida State University, Panama City campus, I guess we can count them as our neighbors as well, but pretty much everybody else in the world may have experienced one or the other. But unfortunately for us, we've had to be involved with both of them. And I know it's been a tough 18 months, year and a half for all of you. And I feel your pain in many ways, and but can't possibly imagine the pressures of having to take classes as well, because fortunately I finished up my last night class just a few years ago. And but I did finish 2 of my 3 degrees, 2 of my 4 degrees were all taken going to school at night. So those students who follow that path, I get that path as well, and have been through it. In fact, when I graduated from University of West Florida with my doctorate, my children, my son was 8 years old and my daughter was 15, and they had never known a time that I wasn't in school.
Wow.
And yeah, that was their comment too. And what are we going to do with all your time, Dad? And well, that disappeared pretty quick, as it usually does. We appreciate everything that the faculty are doing to support your education while you are away from the campus. It's not easy on them either. You know, in fact, there's nothing about this pandemic that's easy on anyone, except maybe the people that make masks and gloves, and it's probably not easy on them either, because I think that they are probably working 3 shifts a day trying to get all the masks and gloves that can be produced. Just a tough spot for everybody to be in, and we appreciate the patience that you all have shown so far, and we're going to do the best we can to provide the highest quality education possible as we work through these difficult times.
So we have a couple questions that have come through. Miss Wendy Davis, thank you for joining us. She asked, how are the staff doing on campus?
They're lonely. The best way I can describe it, we are working from home wherever possible, and we've given a lot of our employees work from home assignments with deliverables they have to do. It's just like being in school, except it never stops. So we're working that way. We also have our some of our employees are doing a lot of training that's available during this. I can't really call it downtime because everybody's still working. We don't have any employees that I know of that have taken leave because we've allowed flexible scheduling. I know of a couple of employees that literally come into the office at 4 o'clock in the morning and they work until 8. They go home and swap with their spouse. They stay home from 8 until 5, and then at about 6 o'clock they come back and work another 4 hours. And that's how they're accommodating the requirements that their family has.
Right.
And so we're doing just like students are. We're doing the best we can to get along in the circumstances as they're given to us.
And I think we all can agree it's just not the same without the students here or faculty and staff. We have another question that came in from Kyle. Thank you for posting a question, Kyle. And the question is, what are the plans for the summer? Do we have any idea of what summer might look like?
Well, I'm not going on a cruise to northern Italy. I just got off of a video conference with the faculty senate here at the college, and as you might imagine, they had exactly the same question. And the answer is that it just depends on what state and federal officials tell us. Right now, we are still operating under the structure of remote learning. No classes held on campus, everybody at home. But if you watch the national news, if you watch the local news where they're quoting our governor, that is a constant discussion item at both state and federal levels. As soon as we know, we'll share that information quickly. My gut tells me that we may start the summer session in remote learning mode, but as quickly as possible, we will revert back to normal classes. If you're normally in a distance learning class this summer, it's going to stay a distance learning class. But if you're normally in a face-to-face class that's going to start out as remote learning, then as quickly as we can, we'll revert you back to a face-to-face class.
In those instances.
Right.
Any news on what would be plans for graduation, we're asking? So just in general, I know graduation was supposed to happen on May 1st.
How about, Sophie, how about summer? And that's about the best we've got for you. Right now, we're tentatively shooting for some sort of a graduation ceremony in August. We are in fairly consistent contact, and Sophie, I'm guessing that you're going to be graduating. If I were Sophie, I'd have that question as well. We're trying to stay in pretty consistent contact with people that are eligible to graduate to make sure that we keep you posted on what the latest and greatest information is. A few folks have responded back to us and said, look, we were all primed up for May, but I got things to do, places to be, and jobs to start, or I'm transferring to another place, or I'm moving out of town, those kinds of things, and we get all that. But for a lot of people, you've worked very hard through more natural disasters than should humanly be possible in order to graduate. And by gosh, you want to graduate, and I want to see you graduate. So we're going to try and offer a ceremony in August. We've got some surprises in store for you that hopefully will be coming out later this month.
Yes, hopefully on the original graduation day. Hopefully
that'd be next month.
I
didn't get that quite right, but in the next few weeks, at least to commemorate the graduation date that we were all shooting for you to be able to graduate originally. Dr. Lavender, Vice President of Student Affairs, has also been working on a project that we hope to share with you in the not too distant future that will be an app related to graduation that'll have some video information on it and some other things that you'll be able to send graduation pictures to folks before you've even graduated, walked across the stage. But we're going to get it as close as we can.
Some other things that have been happening on campus and just opening at the Gulf Franklin campus was the Commodore Cupboard.
Right.
So any information you want to provide on
Sure.
those aspects?
So those of you who were here through the hurricane will remember Michael's Pantry, and we retired the name Michael's Pantry because, quite frankly, I think we're all pretty much tired of Hurricane Michael.
Right.
But we never gave up the need, never saw a reason to give up on meeting the need of feeding hungry students and their families. And with some of the things that have happened in our economy as directly related to COVID-19, we've kind of stepped things up a bit. And so, as you mentioned, we just opened up an effort at the Gulf Franklin Center, expanded it. They still had a food cupboard going on, but we're getting a lot more people showing interest. You will see a link on your Canvas websites through your learning management system, the Canvas system that we have. You'll see a link if you need some support food-wise. You'll see a link that'll come up in Canvas probably as early as today or tomorrow. Also, we send you out information every week on a COVID-19 update, and there's a link in that for students and staff to be able to request some food. And we're doing this. We're continuing to practice social distancing, and we're being safe about this. And so the link will take you to a website or web source where you'll be able to put in, it's a form, and you'll be able to put in your name, your contact information, your student number, or your employee number, and it'll give you a shopping list of things that we currently have available in the cupboard. It's a pretty extensive list, but we're sticking with the staples. Some of you may remember as a result of Hurricane Michael, we also made available cleaning supplies and pet food and personal hygiene products and things like that. And we're just not doing that this time. Those resources are still available. If we get huge demand for maybe personal hygiene products, we may add those back to the list, but we're going to be focusing on feeding people now. Unfortunately, I think that this area is going to be in a tough time over the next few months as the economy begins to recover. I don't think we've begun to recover yet. Hopefully we're starting. This is the South. We're fixing to get started. That's what my mama used to tell me. So the economy should start to mend soon, but for those of you who have already been laid off, for those of you who've been laid off for a few weeks, your economy is not doing so well. And we know that's going to be an issue for you. So we're going to be working to address that as best we can. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you got laid off is the only way that you can access the food pantry. If somebody else in your family helped to bring you home the bacon, so to speak, and they've lost their job, that certainly would be a reason why you might want to access this resource. If your hours have been substantially cut back, that may be another reason to access this resource. And let me make sure I give a plug that's really well deserved. Two plugs, in fact. The first one is, if not for our foundation, we would be taking baby steps right now. But they provided some upfront money for us to be able to add a lot to the contents of what we still had available in Michael's Pantry, because, oh, there I go again, not Michael's Pantry, Commodore Cupboard. But we still had food coming in from a variety of people that regularly donated to us, because we have students that have been in need all along, but just not the kind of need that we're experiencing today. And so the foundation has committed to help us through this effort. And so if you get an opportunity, if you need to take advantage of the Commodore Cupboard and you want to drop a thank you note to somebody, it really needs to be made out to the foundation. And you can send it to the Gulf Coast address, but please make sure you write on it to the attention of the foundation so we can make sure that we get it to the right folks. The other folks that I want to give a shout out to are the folks in student activities. Under Chaz's leadership, he has really grabbed this particular bull by the horns and is coordinating all of the effort to keep the pantry or the cupboard stocked. He's doing the shopping. And I didn't finish the rest of the story about how you access this. Sorry about that. When you fill out this form with your contact information, part of what you'll also include on the form is the date when you want to pick up the food and an approximate time when you can come by. And there'll be directions that say on the response that you get back that says, okay, you're scheduled for 9 o'clock tomorrow morning or 9 o'clock Monday morning. I'm not even sure if we're open on Saturdays. I'll have to find that out.
I think we're closed on Saturdays and Sundays, but Monday through Friday.
But you'll pick the time that you're going to be open, or that we're going to be open, that you can come by, and it'll have a number that you can text. And when you get here, or you can email us if you don't want to text, but when you get to our parking lot, then you will just text or email a message to the person indicated, and they will come out to the car wearing a mask, practicing social distancing, but they'll bring the food out that you've requested. And I don't think it can get any better than that.
Yeah. And if faculty or employees, are they able to use the Commodore cupboard?
Absolutely.
Okay, very nice. Another shout out just coming in on the comments from Miss Dana, definitely shouting out to our Commodore Productions team. They have been right by our side the entire time through this process, helping us produce all of these videos, from our athletic videos to our Steaming Ahead in Science videos to our weekly messages to our Facebook Live. So they have been tremendous throughout this whole process for that.
You and I have trooped them not only all over campus, but all over Panama City.
Yes,
just
we
to
have.
film segments.
We sure have. So definitely thank you for that shout out, Miss Dana. We appreciate that. If you have any other questions or comments, if you'll place those in the comments box. We're getting a lot of love symbols coming up from those comments that just came out, so that's exciting. Thank you for joining us, Ashley Hawkins. We saw that you just joined with us. We are excited to have you. Anything else you want to share in regards to what fall might look like? We know registration is open for summer. We
Sure.
will be having summer classes, and we've actually added an extra session. So we have an A, a B, a C, and an E session that's coming up summer to try to provide
A, B, C, and E.
I know, they
No
skipped
D.
D. They skipped D. So we got A, B, C, and E
We must be
sessions.
holding that in reserve.
So we're trying to do everything that we can to support anyone that is looking to come back or is returning from the spring semester. So anything else you want to share with them in regards to the college or what's happening or what to look forward to?
Sure. A couple of things come to mind. The first one, along the lines of what you just said, we're going to offer a full slate of courses this summer. Again, I think it's reasonable to expect that you're probably going to have to start them through remote learning. But any of our sessions that start after, let's say, the end of May, I'm going to guess that we're going to be in a position, hopefully, that we're going to be able to transfer those back to the modality that you would prefer to take them under. But we're hearing stories of other higher education institutions all over the Southeast and even all over the country. Some of them are not opening for the summer. They've just decided to bag that semester and they've released their students and they're not reopening their campus. That's going to be a problem for people that were planning to work on their education through that institution. Some others, it just may not be reasonable, given the position that you and your family are in, that you would go back to your home campus if you're going to a university, maybe in another community or another state even, that you would move back into your dorm for a week or a month, even if that's possible, or 2 months, and then move back home for a month, and then move back to your university in the fall. And I want to remind students, if you would share with your friends who may have gone off to school someplace else, that we do have a process that's called this transient student process, and that's where a student that normally attends another college or university can take a course here at Gulf Coast if they get the paperwork done the right way. And universities and colleges we do this all the time anyway, so this would not be anything unusual. But a student can get the form filled out, and it's really important that they take advantage of that transient student process through their home university, because otherwise they could just come out here and let's say they decide they need to take an accounting class, but they didn't check with their home institution. They didn't talk with their academic advisor at their home institution. They may make an A in a class, do a great job taking an accounting class here over the summer, but now their home university is not going to take it back. They're not going to transfer that course back in because they didn't get a chance to sign off on it first. And this transient student form is really important because that protects the student, and it ensures that when they take that course back to their home institution, that there's a guarantee that that course is going to be honored and accepted by the home institution. You get to pay Gulf Coast rates for classes that you can transfer someplace else that won't be at Gulf Coast rates.
Right.
If you're going to school or your buddies are going to school at some other institution in Northwest Florida, some other institution in Florida, not Northwest Florida, all of Florida, we have the lowest tuition and fees of all 40 public institutions, colleges, and universities in the state of Florida. So we are your low-cost, high-quality option. And we would encourage folks to let your colleagues know, your friends, your buddies, your relatives, that if they want to pick up a class this summer, that would be an excellent time to maybe get a little bit ahead while saving some money before they incur all the additional expenses of heading back to university. And we'd be happy to have them transfer here and go to school for a year or two as well. And including in some of our 4-year programs, we can get them for 4 years.
There we go. And I think that's a great option too right now. Again, registration for summer just opened this past Monday, and there are several options to choose from. If you need help with enrolling or applying or anything like that, our staff is still here to support you. They might not physically be on campus, but they are still monitoring the phones and emails and things like that. So people are still here to support you. You can find all of that contact information on our homepage now. Right when you log in to our homepage, it pops up for you, so it's easy access. Other than that, anything else we want to share with them? If you have any other comments, I'm looking to see if we have any comments coming in that you might want to ask Dr. Holdnack while you have him here live. If not, we will come back to those comments afterwards and answer any questions that weren't able to be answered live.
Katie, I do have one other thing to mention. Many of our students may have seen in the news bits and pieces about the CARE Act that was passed by Congress and signed into law by President Trump. And it is a multi-trillion-dollar support effort to try and help our country get through all of the different challenges that COVID-19 has brought upon our country. One of the significant components, at least as far as we're concerned, is that every higher education institution, public and private, who the majority of their coursework was taught in person, not online, was eligible to get some money. And that money has to be spent only on COVID-19 related things. And 50% of it, at a minimum, has to be spent directly on student aid. That is cash to students.
Okay.
So if you are on federal financial aid, if you're a Pell recipient, you're already considered to have applied for that extra assistance. It will not be counted against your financial aid caps that you have. It won't be counted towards excess funding for which you might have to pay some money back. It will be a flat-out grant from the federal government for you. And again, if you're already on federal financial aid, you will already be considered to have applied. The largest bite of that apple, so to speak, is going to go to people that are on federal financial aid who also were taking all of their classes in person, because they're the people that are going to be the most impacted, who are in maybe the worst financial shape, so to speak. And so we're going to weight what we're able to provide a little bit more heavy towards that group, and then a little bit more towards people that were on federal financial aid who were taking a mixture of classes. Maybe they're already doing an online class, a hybrid class, because they've already figured out how they were going to do the technology issue. Those who have never done a distance learning class, having to move to remote learning has been a whole new experience. And folks, we have some faculty members that have never taught a distance learning class before, and moving to remote learning has been a new experience for them as well. And so we've tried to make the best of it, but this is something we're going to be able to do. And there are going to be some funds available through an application process that will be available online. It'll be another one of those forms. We'll send you the link to it. And if, in order to qualify for the funds, you need to have been negatively impacted by the pandemic. So, did you lose your job? Have you had your hours cut back? As somebody in your family that helps provide financial support, have they lost their job? Are you having trouble providing enough food for your family? There's a list of 6 or 7 or 8 things, and you will check all that apply. And we will be able to get some financial support to those people who apply for that as well. We've got a finite amount of dollars that we can support right off the bat of about $1.2 million. And to give you an idea, the foundation that we have spends about $1 million a year on scholarships. So we're about to more than double the financial aid support for going to school as quickly as we can. About 3/4 of that money is going to be spent or is going to be given to students who are currently enrolled.
For this spring.
For this spring. We had hoped to have the funding out as soon as today that we would start sending it. I wanted to try and beat the federal government with the money that they were going to dole out to people through the IRS methodology. That didn't quite work because the federal government hasn't allowed us to draw down the money yet. We're expecting that process to be worked out, all the bugs in that process to be worked out literally any day now. So I'm hoping that maybe sometime next week that both the link on how to apply for those funds and some actual disbursements will be going directly to students as early as sometime next week. Some of those funds are going to be available for students who are enrolled this summer. So I can't tell you how much that's going to be yet. It is going to be focused just on students who enrolled during the summer, regardless of whether you are on federal financial aid or not. So it's a way to help students who, again, are being negatively impacted certainly during the first part of the summer and maybe through the whole summer. And so we're going to do the best we can with the resources we have. We have incurred some additional cost, as you might imagine. When you take one of the courses that's proctored online, those have a cost to us that we have to pay per test on those kinds of things. We've had to increase bandwidth available through the college. We've ordered but not received some extra cameras to go on people's computers. So if you have a home computer that doesn't have a camera on it, then as soon as possible, we'll have one available that you'll be able to check out and use. Don't come to the library or don't call the library yet looking for one. We've ordered them. They haven't been delivered. As you might imagine, everybody in the world wants a web camera to plug into their home computer now. But we have some ordered, and as soon as those are available, we'll let folks know. We had some laptops that were available for those folks that had no adequate device or access to one that we were able to check out to meet an immediate need. We're working on some longer term solutions for those as well, and as soon as we have those worked out, we'll have some more information available for students as well.
Well, that sounds great. In regards to just kind of recapping what Dr. Holdenack just talked about with the CARES Act, we will publish any of those processes on our social media channels as soon as we are told that we are allowed to do so, or they become available. So please watch for that. They will come up on our social media channels. The application process, those types of things will be there. Other things that are always there, the FAFSA is open, and you can apply now for the 2021 school year. If you need support with that, our financial aid information is on that homepage that you can visit, as well as we have scholarships that will be opening back up again soon through our foundation. And again, just watch our social media channels so that you can follow that. That's where we try to get all of our information out immediately. The Commodore Cupboard links, if you need support with that, are on our COVID-19 page under the FAQ, as well as our social media channels. So we're trying to put the information in as many places places as we can so that we can get it to you as fast as possible. It does not look like we have any other questions or comments. If you do, I'll give you a couple seconds and we'll round out this Facebook Live.
Take a look at that. We got 24 people watching.
I know. Well, now we're 25.
25. Whew. That's more people who have ever listened to you and I at one time, probably ever.
Well, it depends. It depends. And teaching in the classroom, sometimes I had a little bit more than 25 students.
I meant that we're actually listening.
So, well, it looks like we don't have any more questions. And again, I appreciate you for coming on live with us
Absolutely.
to share with our students, faculty, and staff, and employees, and our community. Our next Facebook Live will be coming this Monday at 11:30 again, where we will be with the continuing ed individuals, and they will be helping us through some continuing ed processes and sharing in that realm. So, I appreciate you coming on.
Be
And
safe.
Yep, be safe and stay healthy, and we will see you next Monday at 11:30.